For over 80 years, the secret identity worked one way. The hero is the secret. The regular guy is the cover. Clark hides Superman, Peter Parker hides Spider-Man. Then Pixar made a movie where the cape is real and the day job is the lie, and nobody noticed they'd flipped the whole thing. But how did they pull that off? For that, we have to go all the way back to where the movie starts. Maybe even to before the movie starts if we really talk about the timeline. Before any of that, we get old interview footage of supers from back when they were legal and loved and young and virile. The first thing the film does with that footage is ask them all about the secret identity. Mr. Incredible leans into the camera and says every superhero has one. He doesn't know a single super who doesn't, because who wants the pressure of being super all the time? Then it cuts to Elastigirl making a joke about it, something about how she can't exactly do the grocery shopping as Elastigirl, so of course she keeps a normal life going on the side. Oh, kind of funny how the normal life is a side piece in this equation. Elastigirl, you randy lady. Frozone treats the whole thing as a relief. The super ladies he dated kept trying to tell him their secret identity, and he made it very clear he would rather not know. Frozo remains one very smooth man. But the problem is that they are all lying, and the rest of the movie is spent proving that. Let me show you. In his secret identity persona, Bob Parr works at an insurance company called Insuricare, and Pixar visually tells you how that's going before he opens his mouth. He's crammed into a cubicle he barely fits inside, behind a desk built for a much smaller man, wedged next to a big concrete pillar somebody apparently decided to put in his cube. Later, you watch him fold himself into a car so small he basically has to wear it. Again, this is the same guy who used to lift trains. Pixar sized every single object in Bob's normal life a little too small for him, so his own body keeps telling you he doesn't belong here. The disguise is the cubicle, the tie, the tiny car, the whole beige little life. And it's all about 3 sizes too tight on him. The real Bob keeps leaking out anyway. A woman called Mrs. Hagen-Doss comes to his desk trying to get a claim paid. And his company's entire business model is built on not paying her. So Bob leans in and quietly walks her through the exact loophole she needs to beat his own employer. He's whispering, because helping people is against the rules now. See the parallel yet? Mr. Incredible in a short sleeve dress shirt still saving somebody. He just has to do it where the cameras can't see him. His boss is a small angry man called Gilbert Hugh, and Hugh exists in this movie for one job, I guess. My theory is that he's keeping Bob in the disguise. He's worked out that Bob keeps helping customers and it drives him insane. Then, right in the middle of Hugh lecturing him, Bob sees a man getting mugged through the office window. He wants to go. Hugh tells him if he steps out that door, he's fired. Wait, I can do a better one than that. You're fired! Oh my god, that was a terrible idea. Being a hero and keeping the cover turn into the same decision, and Bob only gets to pick one. He picks the man. He grabs Hugh and throws him through a few office walls. I think it was 4. Hugh goes to the hospital, Bob goes on the unemployment line. So, how does Bob actually unwind? Well, remember the interviews all swore that normal life was the escape, the good part, the break from being super? Bob's real break is Wednesday nights, when he tells Helen he's off to go bowling, and instead of cheating on her, he sits in a parked car with Lucius, listening to a police scanner, waiting for something to catch fire or something, or bad things, so the two of them can go be who they used to be. He probably tells her he got a call from Nico to go bowling, as no one is surprised Nico calls every freaking week. I really hope people get that reference. Any hooky skooks, he does all that just so he could sneak out and do unpaid overtime as a superhero. That's how starved the man is. Taking the disguise off is not relaxing, like, at all. It gets him fired, or it makes him a criminal. And he's only the start of it. Every other person in that house is wearing the same disguise. Take Dash. Dash is a 10-year-old who can cross a room before your eye finishes blinking. And his whole childhood is some sort of containment facility and pretending he can't. He puts a tack on a teacher's chair like any bored kid would, except he does it at a speed no human can match. His teacher, a twitchy man named Bernie Kropp, wow, I'm being very descriptive today, is so sure something's off, he rigs up a hidden camera to catch him. Plays the tape back, and there's a blur. A tack that wasn't there a frame ago. And a grown man slowly losing his mind going, coincidence? I think not. Nobody believes him because the footage is too fast to show anything. Dash beats the camera. He still gets marched to the principal's office, though. Then comes the car ride home. Dash asks if he can go out for sports because, I don't know, he'd like to be good at one thing in public for once. And Helen shuts it completely down. The world, she tells him, just wants them to fit in. And to fit in, they have to be like everybody else, blah, 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 blah. Dash says their powers makes them special, and that's a really good point. Helen says everyone's special. Oh my freaking god, Helen, are you serious? And Dash, 10 years old, mutters back, which is another way of saying no one is. Ha ha! And hold on, is that foreshadowing they planted for Syndrome's motivation? That's freaking sweet, I only noticed that just now. Anywho's it's booze, it's continuing Continuing, a kid just described the whole disguise better than any adult in the genre ever has. He's being asked to be less on purpose for the rest of his life. Of course, there's always Violet. Violet's power is invisibility, amongst others. Pixar uses it as the least subtle metaphor it has ever attempted, and I mean that as a compliment. She has a crush on a boy named Tony. Aww. And every time he so much as glances her way, she vanishes. Aww. When she's not doing that, she's hiding behind a curtain of hair. Huh? So nobody looks too closely. Oh. Her superpower and her personality are intertwined. Please do not see me. Now, right about here you might be thinking, hang on, they've got the little eye masks on the super suits. Isn't that like a secret identity, like the disguise doing its job? Okay, yeah, fair, I guess. But those masks hide nobody who matters. Edna designed every suit in that house, so she knows exactly who's under each one. The government relocated the entire family, so they've got a file with everyone's real name in it. And the one time a real threat comes hunting them, an eye mask doesn't slow him down for a second, though we'll get to him later. That little mask stops precisely no one. The government knows already. The thingy-mabobberito actually keeping the parts hidden is the boring life, the cubicle, the school desk, the horror Violet disappears behind, the beige house nobody looks at twice, the whole ordinary life they had to build around their powers. That's the costume, which sets up the strangest thing about the movie. If the normal life is the disguise, then the moment these people finally suit up should be the moment they stop hiding. And that is exactly what happens next when Bob gets a secret message. A woman named Mirage offers him a job on a private island fighting a runaway robot called the Omnidroid. Big money, no questions. And despite the enormous levels of suspicious that's giving off, in a second he's back in the suit throwing hands with a machine the size of a house. The man is alive again! You can see it on him. He tricks the thing into tearing out its own power source and he's grinning the whole time. Oh, and another important detail. To go be a superhero, Bob tells his family he's away on a business trip. Just like bowling. He's back to lying. Over the next couple of months, the super work does what the normal life never managed. He trains, drops the weight, comes home lighter, flirts with his wifey poo again. Why would you ever stop flirting with her? Are you kidding me? Plays with his kids. The thing everyone told him was too dangerous to be is the thing that hands him his life back. There's another twist though. The robot tore his old suit, so Bob sneaks off to get it mended. And that's how we get to Edna. He brings her this ripped 20-year-old costume and she looks at it like it personally insulted her. Calls it a hobo suit. Won't allow him to be seen in it ever again. And instead of a quick repair, she builds him a brand new one. No capes! And then, because Edna's the one person who still sees these people as supers, she builds the whole family matching suits too.
Your boy's suit are designed to withstand enormous friction without heating up or wearing out.
Hey! Call back to my other video. Okay, sorry. Now, as we all know, the island job was never a job. The man running it turns out to be Syndrome, and he's been luring retired supers out there for years to test his robots on them, killing them off one by one to make the next robot deadlier. Bob finds the proof, a long list of dead supers he used to know, and before he can get off the island, Syndrome captures him. Meanwhile, Helen finds a long platinum blonde hair on Bob and hears him going strange on the phone, and she assumes the worst, that he's having an affair. Helen, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't even think anybody gonna have an affair with you around. Whoo-wee! Then she notices the fresh paint on his old suit, calls Edna, and Edna cheerfully tells her about the family suit and the homing beacon sewn in every one. Helen presses the button, the beacon goes off on the island right where he's sneaking through Syndrome's base, and it nearly gets him killed. Helen stops thinking about affair and works out her husband is in real trouble, so she borrows a jet and flies out to get him. The kid's stowaway in the back. Syndrome's men blow the jet out of the sky. Helen, Dash, and Violet wash up on the island and hide in a cave. Right there is when the whole secret identity problem stuff shifts. Helen tells these kids they are not the villains from their Sunday morning cartoons. These men won't go easy on them because they're children. They'll kill you if they get the chance. So don't give them that chance. Use your powers. Or in other words, stop hiding who you really are and be yourself. Out in that jungle, Dash finally runs at full speed, baby! Chased by men with guns, and he's laughing because he's waited his whole life, I mean, short life or whatever, to move like that. Violet throws up force fields and quits trying to disappear. They fight as a unit, powers stacking on powers when you can feel it, you know what I'm saying? Feel what, Logic Logan, you may be asking, dear viewer, and I'm so glad you asked so I can tell you, you could feel it landing. This family is closer in any gunfight than they ever were at the dinner table back home. The suits are where they finally look at each other in the eye. For the Pars, putting the mask on is how they take the disguise off. It only leaves one problem. This only works because they share it, which is also opposite to my secret identity video that you might have watched. Let me recap it real quick. Okay, so Clark is alone, Peter is alone, the Incredibles fix 4 other people who already know and already love you. That same fix can't just be handed to a solo superhero, they need each other to make it work. Bob without Helen and the kids is just a big sad man lying about bowling until he dies. So why did nobody else in these movies ever try it? Well, that all has to do with one person, Syndrome. Before he was Syndrome, he was a kid called Buddy, Mr. Incredible's #1 fan who turned up one night begging to be the sidekick. Of course, that kid had no powers, just some gadgets he built himself and a pair of rocket boots, basically a bootleg Batman-Iron Man combination. Mr. Incredible brushed him off, told him he works alone, and something in Buddy curdled that night and never uncurdled, like a nasty cheese. He's the perfect villain for this movie for one reason. Buddy has no real self to hide. The Pars are sitting on true identity they've been forced to bury. Buddy has nothing under there at all, so he builds one. Every piece of him is manufactured. The name, the tech, the boots, the hair, all of it engineered to look like a super from the outside. He's a man who is only a costume, all the way down. He's what you get when the disguise is the only thing a person actually has. And look at what he wants. He plans to sell his inventions to everyone, so anyone can buy their way to powers, because in his words, when everyone's super, no one will be. He wants to erase the exact thing the Pars are hiding. If nobody's special, then the thing he never had stops mattering, and the thing they can't stop being turns worthless. Now line that up against how the rest of the superhero business handled the same broken trope. Marvel kind of stripped the secret identity out of nearly every hero they had. Tony stands at a podium and just says,
I am Iron Man.
Others are also, well, just known. The Incredibles fixed the same problem the opposite way, and nobody copied Pixar's version for the same reasons nobody copied the suits. You need a family who all share it, and a studio with no 80-year-old identity to protect. Marvel and DC had neither, which brings us to the last scene. Months later, the family's at Dash's track meet, and he's finally allowed to run, just to hold back and take second. Looks like the normal life again. Then the ground tears open, and a villain called the Underminer rises up in front of the whole crowd, and then the Pars look at each other and pull their masks on in public. No more hiding. And life just carries on, with them in it as themselves. Surprisingly enough, it's not the only problem the Incredibles movie solves that all other superhero movies have. They did the same with their outfits, which are, one by one, completely logical. Don't know what I mean? Click here to find out.